But what I want to suggest is, in terms of the Bible itself and the stories that we have, there's nothing new about Abraham. There's nothing unique about Abraham as a person. Uh, the call of Abraham is a story about selection, not about recognition, right? That is to say, it's not that Abraham proves himself worthy in any way in the story. He's just picked. There's no explanation for it. So we might ask ourselves quite logically, why Abraham? Why was Abraham the one who got selected to play this role in sort of the great history? A better question actually may be, well, why anyone? Why was this the way that the story went, that God had to choose someone to start with, right? To call. We have to think back to where we were in the story actually before this, right? We think of Abraham as a new beginning, but there's all this stuff that's happened before. And what happened right before this in the story is the Tower of Babel, right? Which again, sadly, we didn't have time to go over here, much as I love the Tower of Babel story. But in the Tower of Babel story, what we've got is, right, a story about all of humanity operating together and it really not working out well, right? So why choose an individual? Well, because it turned out trying to work with, the entirety of humanity at once was a little unwieldy. And so the selection of Abraham is kind of like, well, let's try a different approach. Right? And if that feels weird, right, this is the same God who we saw in Eden, right, who made a human and then was like, maybe he's going to get lonely. Let's try some stuff. We'll throw some animals against the wall and see if anything sticks. Right, same God of the second flood story, right? The one who's like, I don't like the way this is going. Let me start again. Actually, I really like the sacrifices. Maybe we'll just keep things the way they are. Right? This is a God who, especially at the beginning, is kind of trying things out. Right? And after the Tower of Babel, the thing that God tries out is, okay, if everybody at once didn't work, what if just one person works? And then the next question we might want to ask ourselves is, works for what? What is it that God is trying to accomplish here? Or to put it in terms that maybe people could be a tiny bit uncomfortable with, but that I think are actually quite appropriate to the story and the way that they were thinking was, what is it that God needs? What is it that God needs from humans? And it seems, and again, thinking about the same God from that second flood story who really likes sacrifices, what God needs is people to obey and to worship. That's what God needs from humanity. Worship, right? That's, I think, what most of the gods in the ancient Near East were understood to need. Affection, sacrifice, worship, obedience. So that's the rationale behind the selection of Abraham. Again, not Abraham in particular, but there's rationale behind the selection of someone.